Hello and welcome to the second video in my ongoing series where I'm documenting my journey / attempt to become a full-time comic creator. In today's video, I want to cover three key areas. Firstly, I'd like to take a look at planning, so what am I actually doing to achieve the goal of becoming a full-time comic creator? Then I'd like to take a look at what my progress looks like against that plan. And finally, I'd like to look at how the comics are performing so far and get a current lay of the land. So, starting with the planning, in my first video I did talk a bit about the goals, what I'd like to accomplish and my long-term ambitions, but I didn't really break down the how, the practical steps that would be required to achieve those goals. So what I'd like to focus on now is my actual plan of attack. This plan of attack breaks down into a few clear stages. Stage 1, finish writing and drawing chapter 1. So get all pages of chapter 1 fully completed from start to finish. Stage 2, I need to create cover artwork, so this includes both the main cover and if I decide to do any alternative or promotional versions, but it also includes the covers for chapters 2, 3 and 4. Stage 3 is tweaking and refinement, so those final edits, sort of running back through every chapter so far to make sure that everything's consistent and that it all reads and looks as strong as possible. Stage 4, I'm going to look at the page count for chapters 1 to 4 and determine where it is that we are falling short, because that's where we need to include extras, so things like bonus artwork, sketches, maybe some behind the scenes content or some of my notes to help add a bit of value and make the book feel a little bit more complete. Stage 5 then is testing, so actually ordering some physical test copies of the chapters so that I can check the print quality, the paper stock, the overall presentation, and make sure that the quality is where I feel it needs to be before I put it into anyone else's hands. And finally, stage 6 is to get selling, so determine the pricing and finalise how I'm actually going to put these comics in front of people. So that's the roadmap. From here, the progress and performance will feed into this roadmap and show me how well I'm sticking to it and where I need to adjust. And now that that plan's laid out, let's take a look at how far along I actually am. Right, so these are the thumbnails for chapter 1 that I've drawn, so these are finished. This is how I map out what each page needs to include and how many total pages are needed. So there are 20 total pages there. You can see this is where you start to look at the page composition, look at how things are going to fit together. And I'm not going to zoom in too much because I don't want to spoil too much, but this lets you get a quick high level view of how the comic will look, how it will read, and allow you to make any changes before you're in too deep, before you overcommit to certain things. So chapter 1 is a bit shorter than I'd like at the moment. I would prefer it to be a little bit longer than just the 20 pages, but hopefully as I go through I'll identify opportunities where I can maybe add some extra little bits in. That's what usually happens. I think the writing you tend to add to and evolve the pages, the story, as you actually start to draw it. Out of the 20 pages that I need to draw for chapter 1 so far, I have drawn 2. That is actually one more page than I thought, because I have already actually drawn the title page, which I forgot about. I drew that a little while back. Not really as much progress as I would like, and I'm hoping in the coming week that I'll be able to move forward, get 2, 3 more maybe done. I am doing this in my spare time, so just got to try and work as efficiently as possible. Looking back at the thumbnails, you can see there that a couple of those pages towards the end, they're definitely a bit more straightforward, so they should be quite quick to do. Some of them though, they are a bit more complicated, so yeah, 2 pages forward, 1 page back. Right, I want to show you the in progress page 3 then, so you can see one of my pages as it's evolving. You can see I've actually finished panels 1 to 4, so the first half of the page there, and the second half I have drafted. I like to pencil, if you want to call it that, my my panels in using these reds and blues. Yeah, it makes it easy for me to see what it is I need to do when I get to that inking stage. So yeah, happy with this so far. I think the inking should be pretty straightforward. I need to make this gate look a bit more fancy and complicated and sci-fi like. I've hidden the dialogue as well, so you can't see what's been said here, but I mean, yeah, I think you get the gist of it just from looking at it, which I guess is good. It's a guy stressed out running down a corridor to open this door at the end of it. Something I would like to point out though, a learning, is I think I've put a bit too much detail in these first two panels. The difficulty is that I'm drawing this as a web comic initially, so I think when this is exported and put onto the internet, the level of detail will be fine, but what I need to start thinking about is when this is being printed, how much of this detail is actually going to be visible and what will be lost because it's too small to be printed clearly. Now, I know you can't really see this yourselves, but on screen for me right now, this is about the size of an A4 piece of paper, and it looks alright. I don't think I want to print at A4, I think that's too big. I think really I'll be looking at A5-ish. I think if I were to zoom this out to A5, you're going to start to lose a bit of the detail here, so learning for me there is to try not to go overboard, because that's sort of wasted time and effort adding that level of detail on when it's going to be obscured. So yeah, that's a learning, something to bear in mind for the next pages. Also, I wanted to show this just in terms of how to draw more efficiently. It's a new tool that I got this very day. So previously when I was drawing like this, oh, you can see it alright, this like impact here as this guy's slamming his hands on the wall, I'll use the pen and just draw that by hand. But I thought I'd have a look earlier and see if there's some nice interesting tools, and I'll do this in my favourite pink. So yeah, I can use this brush now to sort of draft the impact effect. Got a couple. That one's probably a bit more detailed and has gone the wrong way. Yeah, it just saves me a bit of time, because now I think this is the right one. Yeah, this one here is the best. It's just hard to get it pointing the right way, but yeah. Not very precise, but it gives you something to go on. It saves a little bit of time being able to quickly trace around and do that and have something like a nice frame of reference. That's my progress then, but before I move on to performance, I did want to just address something that I understand is a bit confusing, especially for those with a traditional understanding of how numbers work, i.e. the number 1 comes before the numbers 2, 3 and 4. Why have I already drawn chapters 2, 3 and 4, but not chapter 1? So there are a few reasons for this. First of all, this isn't the first version of After the Fall, so before restarting I actually drew 11 chapters of an earlier prototype version of the comic. You can still read those comics for free on my website under the ATF Proto tab. So why did I commit the comic writing cardinal sin of starting again? When I started, I knew that my drawing would improve as I went along. I knew that that was inevitable, but what I didn't fully account for was that my writing would improve as well. By the time I reached chapter 11, it became clear to me that the characters and the overall narrative had some real structural issues. There were gaps, inconsistencies, and weaknesses that meant that the story wasn't a solid foundation to continue to build on. At first, I thought that I could fix this by adding a few extra chapters to fill the gaps, but I quickly realised this would only take things so far. Eventually, the cleanest and hardest option was to start again. But why does the current version of After the Fall not have a chapter 1? Well, that's because I was always very happy with the original version of that chapter. It functions as a prologue and it doesn't really impact the main story. So redrawing it would have meant recreating something that I feel already worked very well, whereas chapters 2, 3 and 4 are almost entirely new material, and it felt like a better use of my time focusing on those to start with. What I underestimated though was how confusing this would be for readers. Initially I did think that skipping chapter 1 it might add a sense of mystery. I hoped that that would spark curiosity and intrigue, but in reality it mostly just caused confusion. So now I've reached the point where I need to revisit chapter 1 and fill that gap. Finally, I'd like to take a look at how the comics are currently performing online. So here we go, here are the behind the scenes for the After the Fall webcomic. This is on Comic Fury. This is my preferred comic hosting website that I like to use. I do use Tapas and Webtoons as well, and I think a couple of others, but I need to update those, and to be honest, I just prefer Comic Fury at the moment. I feel like I get a lot more engagement on here, and it's really straightforward to use, and it offers you a lot more in terms of insights. So just taking a quick high level look at the numbers, we can see that there I've got 76 pages currently published, 9 subscribers, that's just subscribers through Comic Fury, but this is what I like to focus on. So number of visitors 4,580, 10,970 pages viewed, which I think is alright, but yeah, I want to drive those numbers up. You can see back at the start of the month I had a day where 292 pages were viewed in a day, when we probably had about 70 pages, so that's quite good. Essentially the full comic was read there about 4 times, which is great, but typically numbers haven't been that high. So yeah, I just want to try and drive these numbers as high as possible, try and get as many people actually clicking and reading. Looking at my WordPress site, see again, number of visits not that high. What's that? 2 views, 2 visitors for the last couple of days. No views on the 12th. 3 on the 11th. So yeah, not great numbers. I think ideally what I'd like to do long term is host the comics primarily through the website and not have to rely on another platform, but at the moment just don't seem to be getting much volume there. And just taking a quick look at my Instagram, which is my preferred form of social media, just 83 followers, which appreciate it's not 0, but I would like it to be a bit higher if possible. So yeah, trying to promote and push Instagram as much as possible. Some really good content on here, so yeah, if you've not already, take a look. And finally then, I just wanted to show this on Reddit. So I've been posting my comics on Reddit. I think I only joined Reddit 2 weeks ago, if that, to share my comics, and slow going initially, but then posted this on Friday, so a couple of days ago, and got 361 upvotes, 360 if you include the obligatory self upvote that you always need to do just to get things started. 15 comments as well, so yeah, this is Goblets and Goblins strip number 4, and I think really happy with the engagement that's got. I think it's my most engaged comic so far. Time will tell if that continues, if it was just a flash in the pan, or if there's an interest out there for the Goblets and Goblins comic. So that's where things stand right now. I've got a bit of a clear plan, I've identified the gaps, and I know what I need to do next, starting with getting chapter 1 finished. This whole series is about being honest and transparent about the process. What works, what doesn't, and what it actually takes to turn this into something sustainable. If you're interested in that journey, whether you're a creator yourself or you just want to see how things turn out, then please stick around. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.